Hello and welcome to another episode of VG Club. I am your host, Daxter23 Jack, aka Viv, and today I am joined by Marcus, aka Kulak,
Hello, hello.
Ben, aka BJK394,
Hey,
Javi, aka Javiously,
hello.
and Chris, aka Korea9.
Hey.
And I guess before we go into the bulk of today's episode, we're gonna start off on a bit of a sadder note. On January 23rd, one of our co-hosts, Grace, unfortunately passed away in her sleep. She was battling a respiratory illness at the time, and it just came out of nowhere. And yeah, while we were recording last episode, we didn't even know that she had already left this world. So I guess I just wanted to start off the podcast by kind of dedicating things to her. She was an amazing friend who I had known for the past 4 or 5 years and kind of helped me come to terms with my own gender identity. And yeah, to honor her memory, I shouldn't say we. This was Pride. I believe it was Chris, and was it also you, Ben, who looked through their Twitter transcripts to see what some of their favorite games were?
Yeah, I think Marcus looked through some of it as well.
Okay. Thank you, folks, so much for that. I really do appreciate it. We narrowed it down to a list including titles like Earth Defense Force, Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, but we ultimately decided on Jak II. And even though I'm sure Marcus would have probably preferred Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door.
I mean, hey, I just like good games, all right? That's all I'm trying to say.
Wow, cutting deep.
I'll take the hit on this one. So, 'cause I lean towards Jack on this, and I shouldn't have.
Yeah, it's Chris's fault.
Hey, it happens. But I mean, I think this is I've played this game several times over the past 20 plus years. It was originally released back in 2003 and was quite a departure from its predecessor, which was a very collectathon, kids-focused platformer, and Jak II kind of threw all of that off a cliff and decided to go in a steampunk kind of gritty, dark direction, kind of like a lot of superheroes at the time. And yeah, I mean, for the most part, it was for me personally, I wasn't even 13 when this game originally came out, but
You were the perfect age, though, right?
oh yeah, no, I think it was marketed directly for me. But it's definitely got its issues. We'll get into some of the aiming stuff in particular. The difficulty curve can definitely ratchet. No pun intended. Ratchet up.
Whoa.
Yeah, but
Careful.
Who's that?
don't taint Ratchet's good name. No.
Mhm.
Well, I know that's probably something Chris would say at the very least.
Yeah, I prefer Ratchet over all of Sony's platformers. So,
I mean, I
about
think
Gex?
that Jack and Daxter are more appealing designs, at least initially. Ratchet and Clank clearly figured their stuff out later on, but I think Ratchet's clearly a better game, in my opinion.
Yeah, Insomnia, I mean, it's because, the three big platforming titles for, Sony's PS2 generation were the Sly Cooper games, Jak and Daxter, and Ratchet and Clank. And yeah, I think all of them are really good across the board. I think probably Sly and Ratchet have probably aged a bit better. So that's unfortunate, but then again, Sly and Ratchet have had chances to kind of quote unquote go back to the drawing board and have, iterations after, the year 2010. Whereas
Yeah.
Jack has kind of been, I mean, while there was Daxter in 2006, there was a Lost Frontier spin-off game that was released by a studio that was started by ex-Naughty Dog folks. It was definitely not as well received and has kind of been in a state. God, what's the word when a franchise is kind of like dormant?
It's the dead franchise. It's dead. That's the word you're looking for.
Abandoned.
Yeah.
Forgotten.
Currently not
Lost.
alive.
Dormant is probably what you were going
Dormant.
for, but
Yeah,
no, the other B
okay,
word was
no.
right.
You know what's funny? You brought up Sly Cooper, which I totally forgot about. And I think for me personally, Jak and Daxter 1 and Sly Cooper 1 are by far like my favorites of their franchises. And I think it's because the simplicity. Like they're very straightforward collectathon platformers. They don't try to Jak 2 actually, I forget which Naughty Dog like making of documentary it was. It probably was a Last of Us thing or something, but I don't know, maybe. But they were talking about like back in the day what led them to make Jak 2 the way they did is because GTA 3 came out and set the industry on fire. Yeah,
That's exactly what I was going to mention, because at the time I, wasn't exactly the age or the maturity level to play a game like Grand Theft Auto 3. So my first exposure to kind of like open worlds, the GTA kind of game design was through Jak 2. So I think it came off as more revolutionary to me as opposed to probably the rest of y'all who were playing Grand Theft Auto 3 at the time.
Well, I mean, playing Jak 2 even now, like, I respect the big swing that it is. Like, it's an ambitious game. Like, let's make an open world 3D platformer where you literally drive and walk or walk to the big platforming sections in the different areas. And there's like a big interconnected world where you take on missions. Like, they really tried to do something big with this game. I just think they didn't have the stuff yet. Like Naughty Dog, especially like I think they were really leaning on like cutscenes to like really engage the player, and like the voice acting and the animation is just not there for me. It's so stilted and clunky and weird, and I'm just like not. I don't know. I think Jak 2 is kind of a disaster, but I respect the big swing.
Okay. No, and I mean that's, I guess, a fair point, but I feel like without Jak 2, without Jak 3, we wouldn't have gotten the Uncharted games. And I mean, the development of Jak. Yeah.
It's a straight line like that?
It's a straight line. I mean, like, I think they were trying to embrace a more like cinematic storytelling perspective. And I think that their experiences with kind of the Jak series allowed them to create Uncharted, and even Uncharted was a bit of a proof of concept, and I feel like the potential of the series wasn't fully kind of utilized until Uncharted 2, which was the one that maybe not set the world on fire, but is probably the most popular entry in the entire series.
Dude, I think that you can easily like see the DNA of Naughty Dog's like output, like going through each game. Like if you want to find some Jak 2 in like Uncharted 4, it's those open areas with the Jeep and just like obviously the shooting stuff. But I think that Naughty Dog learned a lot with each game and carried that forward. Even just like the color palette of all their games, like Crash Bandicoot carries into Jak and Daxter, carries into Uncharted. Like, I don't know. I can see the Naughty Dog behind it all.
Yeah, and I mean, like, in a very real sense, The Last of Us came about because they were starting development on a Jak 4, and they were kind of going in more of the horror-inspired direction, and then they just they were like, we don't know if this is a great fit for the world of Jak and Daxter, and kind of, it started with, Joel and, why am I forgetting the girl's name, who's the
Ellie.
entire lynch... Ellie. Yeah. So, yeah...
You reminded me that like another thing about Jak 2 that really doesn't work for me is like I did like the characters in the first game, and coming into Jak 2, they take such a departure like right off the bat, the first thing Jak does is like choke somebody and say, "I'm gonna kill whoever," and it's
I'm
like,
gonna kill
what?
Praxis.
And he talks
Yeah.
now, which is
And
weird.
he was a silent protagonist in the first game, so this is like your first real introduction to him as a character, and it's just not appealing at all. It's just like, ugh.
Oh no, he's a dick. But I mean, he's
Yeah.
also been tortured for 2 years, so I feel like that
Sure.
would do a number on anybody's
It's-
personality.
It's going for that like early 2000s cool, edgy, dark shit.
It's Underworld, right? This felt like Underworld.
What with
Made him a
Kate
little vampire.
Beckinsale?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Sure.
Meanwhile,
Um,
Daxter is just an obnoxious creep.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Hey, I
And
like
then
that.
they try to be goofy too, like with Jak, like at certain points, and it's like, this is not consistent. It's not motivated. I'm not
Yeah.
charmed. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know. There's some moments where they try to give Jak more of a show his humanity. Just be like, "Oh, where would you be without me, Daxter?" And then just Daxter being like, "Well, I wouldn't be furry. I wouldn't be stuck in a steampunk future." Just starts to list off all the. But yeah, I think in general, he's just revenge bent this entire game, and he's he's a selfish arse, and I think Daxter and some of the side characters that get introduced have to pick up the slack because, he's a very one-dimensional character, at least for this game.
Yeah, I think the
But
question
Daxter's an
is
annoying
on-
cartoon throughout the game too, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, go ahead.
Oh yeah, no. Whatever you're gonna say, you can finish your thought. I was gonna divert to something else.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was just gonna say, I mean, my wife, she likes watching me play platformers in particular, and even she wasn't the biggest fan of Daxter, which,
Mhm.
yeah, I mean, I'm slightly biased because my username is literally Daxter23Jack, so yeah, I've got some rosy
There's
introspection.
some nostalgia for him too, though. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I had not played Jak and Daxter before we set out on this. Maybe the first couple levels at most. Like, I played all the way through Precursor Legacy and then this one. And then this one starts and he's like ogling women's breasts and like making
he's
sexist comments, and it's like, oh, he's a horny 12-year-old. Like,
oh yeah, he is very vulgar and treats Ashley pretty chauvinistically. I'm honestly surprised she didn't just kick him off a cliff.
It's because the game was written by men in the 2000s.
yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah, so there's some elements that are pretty dicey, but yeah, I feel like Daxter gets slightly less worse as the series goes on because I played Jak and Daxter, Jak II, Jak III, and Jak X Combat Racing all relatively back to back.
Yeah.
And I feel like the writing gets better as the series goes on, and Daxter, honestly, like in the third game, I mean, he can still be annoying, but he's in a committed relationship with his girlfriend who spoiler,
I don't know,
but
actually, what do you mean? Yeah, tell me.
that blonde girl who works for the Resistance that is also working undercover at Crew's Bar?
At the bar.
Yeah, I don't
yeah.
like it. I don't like it. I
Yeah,
don't like
well,
where this is going.
This
magic
is some
bullshit.
she gets turned donkey and the dragon in Shrek, man. Like, shit that shouldn't happen.
She gets
Don't yuck
turned
their
into an
young.
Otzel as well at the end of Jak III.
Okay. So it's not not human weird squirrel creature.
Well, technically, Daxter is a elf human underneath all of that. Doesn't
Yeah.
Daxter deserve love?
Sure.
No.
I mean, I don't.
I
I
was
don't
just
think
gonna
that
say,
Daxter shouldn't be. I think Daxter should be annoying. I think Daxter should, like, even in best case scenario, if they did make that Jak 4, you got to preserve that aspect of the character. But obviously, I think they can do better than Jak 2. And I hear that Jak 3 is much better. I haven't actually played it, but That would be.
I
I think I
actually-
would recommend it. They add some like Mad Max vibes to it.
Right.
Yeah, I played
Which-
through all of the Jack and Daxter series like a handful of years ago, and Jak III ended up being the one I liked the most. Like that's weirdly, I think, the best in the series.
Nice. Yeah, and I think like a big open Mad Max environment suits it much better than a really tight, like overfilled city where your car's just smashing
Yeah.
into everything. That's so annoying.
Yeah,
Explode
and
all the time.
no, this is one of those games where I feel like it's almost like for some of the challenges in particular, but even some of the missions, like navigating the city without accidentally hitting a Crimson Guard
it's
or
horrible.
a civil citizen. It's bad.
Yeah.
I like the
I
zoomer
tried
function.
the very
like,
first the very first time trial, and I just tried it like 6 times, and I kept hitting walls or randomly generated enemies would show up, and then all the cops are after me. I was just like, I'm not doing this. I'm just not going to do it. Like, I hate this.
That's fair. That's kind of how I played it the first time I picked up the game as well. I didn't really bother with any of the precursor orb stuff. So, but yeah, no. Just a fun fact: when I was playing, the GTA 3 kind of inspiration homage. In Jak X Combat Racing, there's a secret unlockable called Hot Coffee.
Nice.
No, and I just like I was like, huh, what's this? So I pick it up, and it's just like him and his Otzel girlfriend being cutesy, and then Dexter just looks at the screen. He's got a cup of coffee in his hands, and he's just like, what? And then the scene ends. So I feel like the series does know how to have fun with itself, but yeah, definitely it's ambitious, but definitely falls short in more than a couple of locations. But Ben, since besides myself, it seems like you're most familiar with the series, I kind of wanted to hand things off to you. Could you give a basic overview of the story for Jak 2?
Oh man.
I can do it if you need me to.
No, I can try and sum it up. I guess the story is they find this sort of portal thing, which was a precursor artifact, and turn it on, and the portal sends them to a futuristic city, and then it ends up that what they think was like some other world ends up being their world in the future. And then they find Jak. They find Jak, who turns out to be the ancestor of Mar, which is like the king of the world, or a former hero, the founder of Haven City. And then they basically have to they're trying to send him back in time to like reset so Jak from the future can get there. The time travel stuff gets muddy. That's the part where I don't quite remember what's going on.
Yeah, it can be convoluted. Basically, Jak 2 is a resistance / revenge story. It takes Daxter 2 years to rescue Jak, and Jak's been pumped with dark ego, basically oil from the first game, and now he can Hulk out and turn into this vampire like creature when he absorbs a certain amount of dark ego, and he's a lot angrier than he was before. And the entire game kind of revolves around Jak working with the Resistance, including people like Torn, the leader of the Resistance, the Shadow, or no, the Shadow's the leader of the Resistance. Torn is kind of just like the commander, like the general. But
Is he the traitor?
yeah, he ended up betraying everybody to save Ashley's life because he's got a thing for her.
Jak's dark form is basically a werehog.
It is.
Yeah, that's about right.
But yeah,
But it wasn't
no,
like as useless in the Sonic games, right? Because like I feel like in this game I would use it for, I don't know, 3 seconds and then you're done.
Yeah, I never wanted
oh
to.
yeah, no.
I forgot I had that ability most of the time.
I feel like most of the time you activate it accidentally because it's on like one of the
Yes.
trigger buttons.
Yes.
Mhm.
And then like you can get rid of it quickly by doing like a jump, and then a melee attack, which makes you do a dark bomb, which gets rid of all the energy at once and all the enemies in the area. So at least you don't have to deal with it for too long. But yeah, I think one thing I liked about the original Jak and Daxter that really wasn't as reflected here was, the original Jak and Daxter had like several different types of eco. It had blue eco, which made you go fast. It had yellow eco, which was kind of like your, fire. It allowed you to fire like energy blasts, a la Dragon Ball Z. And then you also had red eco, which powered you up and allowed you to do a bunch of like cool melee attacks. And in this one, they're just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna have green eco, which is basically health packs, and we are gonna have dark eco, so you can be dark and gritty.
And you
Yeah,
get a
so-
gun.
Oh, the
Yep.
gun, yeah, ammo. I
Yeah.
was like, and this is years ago when I first played this game or first tried it. I didn't finish it, but coming off of the first game, which I adored, I was like so turned off by the idea that like the precursor orbs, which were essentially like stars in like the 3D Mario games, like those are the main collectible. They're like a big deal. And then now precursor orbs are just like nothing, like a coin that you'd pick up that was tucked behind some boxes in the corner. Like there's no pomp or circumstance. It wasn't like a celebration when you found one. It was like, oh yeah, there's another one. Like, I don't know. I hated that.
Yeah, it's
really bothered
secret
me.
currency. It's like, ooh, do you want to play as with big head mode or small head mode?
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
needed them in the first one to like unlock the next area, right? Like you needed to collect a
Yeah.
certain amount of them. Yeah.
Well, yeah, the stars were something called power cells, and then the precursor orbs were like the currency you would use to buy, power cells from like NPCs in the environment. So yeah,
Right, when you
basically
had the
in the
quest, yep.
in the first game, you apparently collected you collected most of them. So now there's only like 200 of them left in this entire huge city. But yeah, no. I mean, like I said, resistance story, time convoluted stuff that gets thrown in there. As Ben said, Jak turns out to be the long lost prince of Haven City, who the Baron Praxis kind of stole control of the city from after Mar was banished, or not Mar. Oh God. I'm forgetting. Jak's dad makes an appearance in the third game. He gets banished, and basically throughout the game, Jak's younger self is the prince, is needing to be looked after, and meanwhile, in this steampunk city, they're dealing with these like monsters / aliens called metalheads that are who are kind of like a hive mind structure that are trying to take over the city. So there's a couple of different enemy factions going on. And yeah, the game results with Jak deciding to stay in the future along with Kira, Samos, and Daxter, sending his past self back to the past so he can save the future. And yeah, kind of ends on a note with Daxter taking over the bar that crew ran, and sky's the limits, I suppose. So yeah, it sounds like everybody else wasn't as high on the story as I was, but then again, nostalgia, rosy introspection.
Wait, you were still high on it in 2025?
There were elements that were, yes.
Because like I get liking it as a kid. Like I'm 100% like on board with you, because it's one of those games. Had I played it back in the PS2 days, I would have loved it, and it reeks of PS2 all over the place. This game, but I would have liked that story too, even if it's just like oh god, it's like Teen Nick, like that sort of era of TV where it's like it's not quite the little baby shows, but it's pretty dang close.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I buy that, like that like because it's a PS2 era game, the jank is like fine. Like there's so many PS2 games that I think hold up so well today. I don't know, like just to play. I found this game incredibly frustrating, and then the cutscenes were just they did nothing for me. I don't know. I didn't enjoy this game much, but I'm glad some of you did.
Yeah, so it sounds we've kind of talked the story into the ground at this point. Let's move on to the gameplay, which, as several of you have already mentioned, it's reminiscent of the Grand Theft Auto games. It's got a mission-based structure. Usually they'll send you to a location to do platforming or to clear out an area of enemies, and kind of just that's how most of the game progresses. And then at a certain point, they give Jack guns, but unlike, I guess, at the time, like a traditional dual stick shooter design wasn't really established. So the shooting is very, oh God, I don't want to say freeform. It's very all over it's very all over the place. Where
it's very bad. Yeah, no, you're close. You almost had that.
Imagine shooting without seeing what you're aiming at.
Lots of automatic aiming, and it gets to the point where you can do this move where you jump and you do your spinning attack, and if you fire your gun in the air when you do that, it'll automatically lock on to the target closest to you. And you use that, or at least I use that to get through the latter half of the game. There's lots of issues with it, and they really improved it for Uncharted.
What's strange to me also is I feel like the platforming is just much worse than the original, and I don't know how that's possible because it's the same developers and a sequel to the game. I don't know. Maybe I need to go back to the original and double check that. But I really enjoyed it when I played it back in the day, and
I just played it, Javi. I did not.
Oh no!
I see why. I think the controls are basically the same.
Okay,
yeah. But
and
I also think. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dax.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I feel like I said earlier, Jak II is very ambitious, and I feel like it's also an outcome that came from them trying to do too many things at once. Because hey, there's a skateboarding game in this game, and then there's driving elements, and then there's shooting, and then there's platforming, and I think they were kind of spread thin, so that might also contribute to Hobby's sense that the platforming was better in the first game, because I would say it was definitely more of a focus.
Oh, I mean,
even if it's same controls,
the focus in the first
focus.
Game.
Yeah. There's
maybe
a lot
not
of
in terms of controls, but in terms of the environment, because platforming's more than just basic platforming control.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, the shooting almost feels like the first Ratchet and Clank game where they kind of didn't figure it out, but I think by Ratchet 2 and definitely by Ratchet 3, they kind of locked into there's no strafe in this game, which is so bizarre to me, because even Ratchet and Clank was doing strafing at the exact same time that these games were being made. So it's weird that they didn't figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. Yeah, and I mean, speaking of, Insomniac and Ratchet and Clank, they helped Naughty Dog kind of with elements of this game, and you'll see
help enough.
They could only do so much. I mean, what are they supposed to pick up Naughty Dog's room?
Yeah,
they could only show Naughty
so.
Dog the door, and Naughty Dog had to walk through it. Right.
No, but sorry, what did they do? How did they help?
Oh, they helped with kind of the technical limitations that Naughty Dog was facing on the PS2. They kind of helped Naughty Dog kind of surpass some of those technical barriers, and both Jak II and Ratchet and Clank 2 Going Commando both have homages to each other, or it'll be Ratchet and Clank get to a collectible object and they do the dance from Jak and Daxter, or there's Jak banners in that game, and in this game there's stuff there's a Ratchet and Clank gun course, and they have got some homages to Ratchet and Clank in other places as well. So,
and there's a billboard of Ratchet and Clank in the city. You can just see it driving around sometimes.
Yep. So yeah, no. But I cut you off earlier, Chris. So I apologize about that. What were you saying?
Forget. Sorry.
No,
Is it
it's
something about how
fine.
the platforming in the first one was bad too?
No, I mean it was just like that's what the focus was in the first one. It's just, I didn't feel that it controlled particularly well, and that carried over to here. Some of it is just, and this is something like I've kind of realized over the last little bit, is like games from 20, 25 years ago. Just they were very set in how they controlled. Like we hadn't come to a standard for everything yet, so everybody kind of had their own shit going on. So like Jak feels a little bit different than Ratchet does, and that feels a little different than Sly Cooper does as well, because each of these three were kind of doing their own thing. And I feel, to me at least, Jak was the one that controlled the worst out of those three, which were all being made at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, so an example of the like bad feeling controls, I guess, in regards to the platforming is like, that first area you go into, it's like there's like a water pump or something, and like it ends with Daxter like trying to turn the wheel, and then he gets sucked into the whole thing or whatever. But like that whole area, I'm trying to like employ the roll forward and then the leap out of it. That's like the long jump. And it always felt like the leap out of it came so late and it didn't feel good. And half the time I would just end up rolling over the edge, or the jump didn't happen at all. And then the walk of shame all the way around the island back to the beginning to go up the two pistons that are slowly going up and down. Like I did that more times than I'd like to admit. And I'm like, I hate this. Like, why does this control so poorly? Like, I don't know.
Lack of checkpoints too.
No.
My God, they're so far spaced. Like,
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
God forbid you if you yeet yourself off certain parts of the level. I think in particular there's a sewer mission where crew task you with, well, one, it's an escort mission, which yay, that's
Yay.
that, and the mech suit parts of the game are probably the worst parts. And that's coming from me. Those are really, really bad parts of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think it was similar to like that mech part, the mech suit part where you're underwater, where you do like an escape from a sort of boss enemy after you have to like escort a dude around.
was the spider?
Yeah, the spider.
Oh my God, I hated that part so bad.
Because like you do so many chunks of it, and you think, ah, surely it's saved after this, and no,
Yeah.
you're set to the beginning. It's ridiculous.
It's like, yeah, the game just it requires perfection of like so many aspects, and it's like, this is frustrating because I've done this turret sequence now 17 times and I'm not enjoying it. I'm just going to shut it off for the night. Come back tomorrow, and like you probably all had that instance where you shut something off and you come back the next day and you hit it the first time, but it's that 17th time you did it, you want to throw your controller through your television.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, can't argue with that. Yeah, the checkpoints in this game are really really bad, and if it's any consolation, I don't know if you'll even be willing to give Jak III a chance after this hobby, but Jak III is a lot more forgiving. Checkpoints are a lot better, and I feel like it has more platforming DNA in it and driving DNA. So.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, this has solidified, because like this is not my first time trying to make my way through the trilogy, and I wasn't trying to get through the trilogy. I was just playing 2 this time, but I always hit a wall when I start Jak II. Like I get to just after you get the gun, and I'm like, I don't like any of this. Like everything leading up to it was like really janky and uncomfortable at best, and then like I just wasn't vibing with it. So like, yeah, this most recent playthrough, I'm like, if I ever do decide to like revisit the Jak series, I'm just skipping 2 entirely. Like I think that, because otherwise I'll just never get to 3, and I need to give it a shot someday. But that is the plan.
Okay.
What did you guys feel about the traversing the open world to get to the missions?
the worst? Where's my fast travel? Where's my GPS? Where's my being able to navigate a world without being in constant misery?
Like the map is so it's a nightmare. Like the way the city is designed, it's like just and so it's like, where am I turning? Oh my god, why I've run over a fucking guard again. Now everyone's chasing me.
Yeah, I don't know what they were thinking. It begs the question, like, did they play this game when they were making it? Like, because they couldn't have had a good time. Like,
so I'm speaking as somebody who's only played Grand Theft Auto 4, 4 and 5, but like the PS2 Grand Theft Auto games. What I don't know, like, when's the last time you actually tried playing those? But like traversing that world a lot better, I'm assuming.
I played
100%.
3 when the remasters came out, that trilogy remaster, and it doesn't feel like you can do things and the cops will eventually chase you, but it's not like, oh, I tapped this thing, I ran over a pedestrian, and now every cop in the city is chasing me. Like,
in those games, the only way to get the cops to chase you is either run over a cop or smash into their car, or just like run over a ton of people while a cop is there. Those are the only.
They're not
ways
everywhere, right?
Right.
These guards are everywhere.
Yeah.
And there's different levels of wanted. So like if you're at the very beginning, just one cop will be chasing you and you can easily, hide.
Yeah,
from them.
but I think Jak II really has something to say about authoritarian regimes and military dictatorships. So I think that's why there's so many. Yeah. No.
It's
and
really
immersive.
And here's another difference, Dax. So the roads in like GTA 3, Vice City, San Andreas, there's like space for cars.
There's room,
and people, and there's lanes, and there's just you can maneuver them.
There's landmarks.
People actually use the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And you can turn your vehicle without coming to a complete stop, because otherwise you'll just slide into everything and then explode.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
I know there's a lot bad to say about the driving, but I do like the hover zones. Like you can go,
it's a cool idea.
Level.
I like that.
Yeah.
But the implementation of it is rusty at best, and horrendous at worst.
It's just so congested, and then it's made even worse by how slippery every vehicle is. Like there's nothing feels good, right? If you had like really nice pinpoint precision, maybe this design would be kind of challenging and fun and satisfying to like weave in and out, go up and down and all that. But like, man, you have to account for so much with your car.
Yeah, I got to a point where, eventually you get like the hoverboard type thing. So like I would either use that, which if you still run into a guard, they'll chase you, but at least, the hoverboard controls a little bit better.
You know what makes all this just a little bit worse is the music in the city. It's just like the bum 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 bum, and I'm like, oh man, that drives me crazy. I hate it.
Yeah, at least GTA has a really good soundtrack.
Yeah.
I guess this is the bad time to mention that sometimes, like when I'm trying to do work or fall asleep, I'll put on Jak and Daxter ambient soundtrack, and Haven City's one.
Share that with your therapist. Please tell your therapist about this. This isn't right.
It would just make me angry.
But Marcus, I am a therapist.
Oh, no. That's so funny.
But yeah, no. It's just it's good. It's good for like when I need to pay attention. But like I said, I've got nostalgia attached to it, and it's everywhere. It's like there's not really like in the original Jak and Daxter, there were zones. Like it'd be like, oh, let's go to the Forbidden Forest or Sentinel Beach, or that sort of thing. And each different area would have a different soundtrack. And I think the soundtrack in Jak and Daxter was a lot better.
Boom, 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 boom.
So Dax, this is for you for first and foremost, but definitely for the rest of the people. Confession to make: I am a Nintendo fanboy in recovery. So in the GameCube era, when we're coming off of that dismal 64 era and offerings. I had a similar story to you where it's like, yeah, I couldn't really play Grand Theft Auto right away, and this was more so because I didn't have a PS2, and so my exposure to that was The Simpsons Hit and Run, and I feel like
Nice.
it's a similar thing where it's like, yeah, it's not, I'm sure it doesn't hold up particularly well today, and was really buoyed by all the Simpsons references and bits in the game, but strictly comparing my memory of that game to this, I remember having fun with that game. Did you ever play that?
I tried to. I picked it up used a couple years ago, and I tried playing it, and I don't think I got put more than an hour into to the game. I've heard very good things about Simpsons Hit and Run. It just didn't stick for me, for whatever reason. I like The Simpsons too, so.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, at first I was like, oh, that makes sense. Hey, it's not your thing, not your thing. But then liking the show and that not being your thing, that's a little bit stranger. But if you only picked it recently, that also makes sense. It's old.
Isn't Hit and Run more like Crazy Taxi than Grand Theft Auto, though?
Well, that was Road, whatever the first one was.
Yeah,
Road,
yeah.
Maybe I picked
different
up
games.
the wrong game. Shit.
Road Rage, is that?
I think so. I get that confused with Road Rash because that was awesome.
Road Rash is great.
Yeah, Road Rage it is. Yeah.
Okay, let me look at my games.
That one's Crazy Taxi. Hit and Run is GTA. Although, like, GTA is very heavy on you're in a car trying to get to a certain destination before the time limit runs out, and that is Simpsons Hit and Run as well.
But I mean, like, in defense of Jak II, I think a lot of the mission design is in, like, it's the same as a lot of other, like, open world PS2 games. It's just the design of the cities is really the main problem, I think.
Yeah. Well, and the controls of your vehicle, like the fundamentals of what makes those games work, is what's wrong.
But yeah,
I guess that's
so. Oh, sorry. I was just say for the rest of y'all who did play Hit and Run, like, is it just the rose tinted goggles or glasses, and that game was also just as bad as this, or was it more playable?
I think it was way more playable than Jak II, that's for sure. But it definitely has that, PlayStation 2 era like difficulty. Like, it's pretty brutal right off the bat. It's a lot of, you're like 2 seconds too late to reach the destination. Do the entire mission all over again. So there's a lot of that. But I do think that, like, if you have an affinity for The Simpsons, like being able to drive around all of Springfield and like go into like the Quickie Mart and like see the interior, and I don't know, there's something like really magical about having that whole world in a bottle that way. But it's not like amazing. It's just really cool for if you're into that.
Fair.
Oh, and just out of curiosity, I just want to see hear your guys' reaction to this. But for those who haven't played Jak III, do you guys know who the main antagonist of Jak III is?
No.
Is it Daxter? Evil
That'd be
Daxter?
great. No, that's the spin-off game on the PC, Lost Frontier. That's when
go fuck yourself. Really? Are you serious?
He's not evil, but that's when they introduced Dark Daxter.
Okay.
Dark Daxter. Hell yeah.
No, but you know how Errol, he's basically just, I guess, Jack's love interest, and kind of just this antagonistic guy that you race against occasionally. And then he ends up killing himself. Killing himself by driving into, canisters of dark ego, essentially like gas fuel. Yeah, they bring him back for Jak III, and they're like, yeah, he's evil. He's the mastermind. He's gonna try and take over the planet. So that's the one thing about Jak III that just always boggles my mind. Like, why would you bring back this unlikable character? And they're like, oh yeah, he almost died from this, and then he's able to make connections that allow him to take control of a KGB Crimson Guard robot factory. It's completely off the walls.
Oh, I feel like you should have kept this information from us. That makes me less likely to play that now. What are they thinking?
Well, okay, there's a better antagonist, but they don't make him the final boss. He's the person who exiles Jack to the desert. He's kind of like this preacher kind of guy. He's a lot better. But they end up going with Errol for some reason.
I'm glad that Naughty Dog got it together by Uncharted.
Well, some would argue they didn't get it together until Uncharted 2, yeah. But they got better and better.
But no. We touched on kind of the repetitive nature of the music, but I know it's a 2003 PS2 game, but voice acting, how was it for y'all?
I mean, they had some big names, and I'll give them
the
that.
big names are nice.
I didn't even notice any big names. What? Who?
Clancy Brown.
Oh, okay.
He's the Baron, right? Is that's the guy in charge of the city?
Okay. I thought you were talking about Daxter, and I'm like, yes, he's the character from Doogie Howser. Not the main character, the side character.
Ooh, big name.
No idea what that is.
I thought that's what you were referring to. Doogie Howser, the vehicle for Neil Patrick Harris.
No. Sorry, I meant specifically the sidekick in that. I didn't realize there was a sidekick in that series.
Yeah, he had
very little knowledge of it.
He had a teenage friend who was just normal, and they're right next to Doogie Howser, who's a medical doctor at the age of, I think, 15.
Yeah, forget.
But yeah, I'm trying to think who else was in this game. I'm going through IMDb. There's Max Casella, that character.
Oh wait, what? Matt Castellaneta? Is that who you're saying? Because that is the voice of Homer Simpson. Okay.
No. Yeah.
Well, Max Casella is he's the Doogie Howser sidekick guy.
Oh,
yeah.
That's less exciting.
Love that guy so much, Dax.
They what is it? Sig is voiced by Phil Lamar.
Yeah, oh, cool.
He's good.
He's Vamp in Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, he is. Huh?
He was a cast member on Mad TV back in the day.
He's been voice acting in a ton of things.
Oh yeah, his history, just Futurama.
Right.
Yeah. No. I wasn't his original role in Pulp Fiction.
Yes.
He's the guy who got shot in that movie.
Marvin?
Yeah.
I don't remember. But
stupidest death scene. He just goes into the back to ask him a question about hamburgers, I think, and accidentally shoots him. It's so bad. But yeah, anywho. At the very least, they didn't kill off the black character at the end of this game. That was very progressive of you, Jak II.
Was it though? Because it was such a weird, and I'm back too. All right, hey bud, I'm glad you're alive. Just, it was still corny, man.
And the only person that died besides the antagonist was that nerd from the power station.
Who?
Who could forget?
I think I remember who he's talking about. It's
but he died. I thought he just left the screen for a while.
No,
I didn't realize he died.
He got torn apart by metalheads after Core sicked them on the power facility. Yeah,
I wish you could brutal.
Well, it was over the radio. I don't know if you could hear it, but he was just like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I probably had a podcast running, so I didn't have to listen to the game.
But yeah, no. Yeah, but let's see. We've gone over. Yeah, I guess before we wrap things up, any final thoughts on Jak II?
Yeah,
I'm
I just want to. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna apologize to Dax. I'm sorry. We've spent 45 minutes trashing this game.
Oh no, and I'm sorry if I'm coming across as a fangirl /boy on this matter. I'm trying to reel myself in check.
Like it. I am glad that you enjoy it and still find enjoyment in it. I wish that I had that level for it. It did not click for me. What were you gonna say, Marcus?
Oh, I just wanted to say, like, yeah, been shitting on it a lot, and it's been really great. It's been real cathartic to get this out all over this fucking game. But like I had sort of mentioned a little bit before, it to me feels like that PS2, like you were saying, Tony Hawk was big around this time. We have skating in here for some reason. It's like, well, that's cool. Like, I like the ideas that they threw at the wall with this thing. Like, there's a lot of cool stuff that they thought of. I just wish they knew how to put it in the game. I don't know if the development cycle on this was rushed or something, but maybe let them cook like a lot longer. I
22
thought it was
months between Jak 1 and Jak
They made
2.
it in 2 months? Yeah, that makes sense.
22 months.
2 months.
Yeah. No, and I think you also have to keep in mind just development cycles have changed so much because between the years of 2001 and 2006, 5 Jak games were released. Granted, one of those games was by a non-Naughty Dog studio that went on to do the PSP God of War games.
Ready at Dawn.
Ready at Dawn.
Ready at Dawn. They did
The
Order 1986. Yes.
Hey.
I'm such a fan of that game. I love that game. I'm gonna make you all
just
play
like in the span of 5 years. In the span of 5, I'd honestly be down for that as well. But in the span of 5 years, they put out like 5 Jak and Daxter games. There wasn't a ton of development time, so they didn't. Whereas, like you look at what was it? The gap between The Last of Us and The Last of Us Part 2 was like 7 years. So things have changed so dramatically.
The Last of Us Part 2 and what Naughty Dog has released. Oh, they haven't. They just keep releasing The Last of Us.
The gap between The Last of Us Part 2 and The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered was 7 years. Yeah.
I mean, Naughty Dog has found itself as like the perfect example of like the high stakes game, the highest stakes of like the games industry right now, and it's just not sustainable. And even like Insomniac, it sucks that these two studios that were so intertwined have found themselves in the same situation. Cause like Insomniac had those layoffs despite Spider-Man 2 breaking records, and it's like you cannot win. This doesn't work, and yet they continue. So I wish that, like, remember when Ratchet and Clank had those like Quest for Booty, those little bite-sized games that were like not
4 hours
huge things.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they did. Insomniac continued experimenting with that when they did Miles Morales, which I think is the best of the Spider-Man games. I like that it's short. I like that it's concise. It's great.
I would agree with that, and they also kind of did that with what was it? We played the game for this podcast, Into the Nexus.
Into the Nexus is one. They did like Full Frontal Assault. So they've always made like small little games.
Yeah.
There's like there's like a weird alternate universe where like Naughty Dog did keep making Jak games, and we'd be on like the 8th or 9th Jak and Daxter game, and maybe they would have like in the PS3 and into PS4 era they would have like refined the controls a bit, and it'd be like a completely different experience. But that didn't happen.
I mean, if you look at these two studios next to each other, like I by far prefer what Insomniac has done, because they've continued to grow just like Naughty Dog has, and like innovate and make big ambitious titles, but they haven't like abandoned where they came from, where Naughty Dog's like almost embarrassed about the Jak franchise. They're like, we're never doing that. We're never going back to that. It would be a waste of our time. And it's like, no, man, you guys could show us what a Jak game looks like now from you. Like, that would be nuts, and I would love to see it.
I'd rather they do Uncharted again.
I would do another Uncharted. I mean, keeps throwing me Ratchet and Clank like treats every few years.
Mm-hmm.
No, and just the development pipeline, like you were saying, Javi, has gotten extremely messed up in recent years because just so much effort and just resources have to be pumped into AAA titles that they have to. It feels like they have to be a surefire hit, or they won't recoup their costs. So I think part of it is just like, why would we do a Jak 4 or a reboot of the Jak franchise when we could release another Last of Us and get our return?
Yeah.
12-fold, especially because of the HBO show.
And a surefire
Unless you make
hit,
it games as a service that doesn't come out.
right? Well, and a surefire hit is often not even enough, right? Like these games come out and
Yeah, I
everybody's
mean, like
playing
Spider-Man's pretty much as surefire as you can get, and they barely just recuperated their costs. It was pretty bad, right?
them. Yeah. I don't know. It just wasn't enough. And like, what do y'all expect to happen? You think like new gamers are like the amount of the player base is going to quadruple to like fit what you need to happen to like be successful. It's crazy. It doesn't make any sense. And I think it's just business has gotten so big and they've seen such success and such growth year over year that they basically their mission is to continue that growth forever, and that's not how the world works.
Yep.
And the
That's
idea
how a
of like
cancer cell works. Perpetual growth.
and I think that when business is that big, the idea of scaling back and making Astrobot and having Astrobot be a perfectly fine moderate success where it makes profit, right? You spend a little, you make a good amount of money back, and it's profitable. A big business looks at that and goes, who cares about that? That's like a fraction of a percentage when we're looking at these monstrous, revenues that we're seeing elsewhere. And it's like really gross. But I think that's more of a symptom of like being public, like a public business. Like you need to continuously please investors. So maybe that's the real problem.
Capitalism.
Yeah.
But and the immortal words of Sonic the Hedgehog, I want shorter games with worse graphics made by people who are paid more to work less. And I'm not kidding.
Yeah. And I I've seen a lot of people like dunk on that quote and say, oh, that makes my eyes roll. And I'm sick of people saying it. But like, it's true though. Like, I know that people have overused that image and that quote, but like, it's the only route forward. You'd get better games and more games, and people wouldn't lose their jobs. Like,
and you're speaking as somebody who's been in the games industry, so you've experienced the detrimental effects of that, endless growth cycle for firsthand too.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah.
Jak II.
Yes. Let's go back to the bright and happy game of 2003. But I think with that, unless anybody had anything else to say, final thoughts on Jak II?
I might try Jak III because I guess I hate myself, but
I'll say this about Jak III. The opening in the big desert, like the first mission is like you in this like big dune buggy and you have to like go around and kill these like huge sand monsters. And after like playing Jak II to Jak III, I'm like, oh, this is way more fun than any mission I did in Jak II.
Nice.
That sounds fun.
I will say like a good like I can empathize or sympathize, whatever is the correct one, with Dax here, that like you like Jak II despite all its issues, and I can definitely see myself in there when it comes to like Mario Sunshine. Like I will go to bat for Mario Sunshine, and I understand that it's kind of busted and like a mess of a game.
Javi, I'm right there with you. I will. I'm a Sunshine defender, so don't worry. You don't have to explain yourself to me.
The Jak II defenders on your side, Javi.
Oh no!
Oh, God, maybe I'm wrong. No, but no. I mean, you're right. There's a lot about Jak II. I think it's overly ambitious. Driving, navigating the world can be tough. The aiming controls are all over the place, and it tries very hard to be edgy, which is kind of funny, but it also sometimes it's like, oh, you didn't have to try that hard. But yeah, I guess Ben, this is your first time revisiting it here in like 5 or 6 years. How was your experience with the game?
Yeah, I mean it definitely shows its age for sure. I don't know, I elements of it because I revisited it around the same time those GTA, like that GTA collection of all the PS2 GTA games. And
Mhm.
like a lot of the mission structure in this game is not that dissimilar to what you do in like the GTA games. It's just kind of like we said before, it's just everything in GTA is just the controls are tighter, soundtrack's better. Like, like this game isn't that far away from what other things in it, other contemporary games of that time are doing. It just a lot of them just did stuff, you know, everything is just like not quite as tight as it should be, not quite as together as you want it to be. And like that definitely holds it back, unfortunately. But yeah, I don't know, the aesthetics of it are still I do think the aesthetics of like the Jack series is maybe more interesting than some of the other PlayStation era platformers, but yeah, ultimately I think it just kind of showed stage.
Fair enough. All right, Marcus, let it all out.
Oh, I mostly covered my bits. Bad game. Everyone who still likes it to this day, I'm happy for you, but also maybe be a little bit ashamed and take a look in the mirror a little more often. But also, like Chris, hey, you know what? Maybe someone can make me play Jak 3 just to see, because like it can't get worse, right? Like it can't get worse.
It can't get worse.
All
What was
right,
the
Jack II, the
what,
bottom of Naughty Dog's itinerary.
what was that 4-player like really mediocre like Ratchet and Clank and Jack and Daxter and Sly Cooper game on the PS3?
All for one.
All for one?
4-1. That's
No,
cool,
there was.
man.
Let's see. No, it was a slightly different. Let's see. Sony All for One.
Oh, PlayStation All Stars, but that's a Smash clone.
No. But there was a difference because there was Ratchet and Clank All for One, which was Quark, Ratchet, Clank,
Oh,
and
you're right.
Nefarious,
You're
and then
right.
there was the
It
one
It was a
with
move
the Jack and
controller. It was a move
Yeah, was
controller
that
game.
a motion controlled game?
Yeah, I think
No.
so.
There was Full Frontal Assault, which was like a tower defense
Tower
game
Defense.
too.
Yeah.
Uh,
Let's. Oh God.
hold on. Oh, here it is. PlayStation Move Heroes.
Thank you.
Oh,
Yes.
did not play that one.
Oh, hell yeah. I'm gonna make you all play that.
I don't have a move. Send me a
Yeah.
move, and maybe I will.
Look,
We
that's
lucked
an
out.
expense.
The
The business
moves.
Oh God.
Yeah.
I'm looking at Sly Cooper on the cover, and he looks like he's straight out of Wallace and Gromit. It's really
Yeah,
bad.
they look off model, especially Sly. Ooh,
Who made this?
Nihilistic Software,
Oh,
whoever that is.
they have like. Why does Ratchet look so evil? He looks sinister.
They did Marvel
Like,
Nemesis
all of them
Rise
do.
of the
Like
Imperfect.
Dexter looks sinister. I mean, Jack looks like Jack. So, what is going on with? That's some
I think-
artwork there.
The biggest game that this studio has made is Resistance on the PlayStation Vita.
I heard that one was actually supposed to be pretty good, but yeah, it
Yeah,
seems
I
like
heard that too.
they got shut down back in 2012. So I wonder why.
Sorry to those people, but
Crazy.
all right. So we
All
gonna
right.
choose the next game.
Yeah, just Javi, Chris. Did you guys have any final thoughts you wanted to lay out, or I got it all out like Marcus did?
I think I'm good. I didn't like it. I wish I did. I did not. But you said Jack X is good, the combat racing one, so I might try that one out. And
Yeah, I would actually recommend it because you do like for the
I like
PC
kart
show,
racers.
like when you have like a week when everybody can't record, you'll sometimes do a kart racing segment. I would recommend
Yeah.
it for that.
Cool.
Nice.
And
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I was just gonna say, just doubling down on everything I said earlier. I think this game had great ambition and was trying to, although it was also just trying to follow trends, which is never a good thing. But I could see a version of this game that would work. It's just not what we got. It's really unpleasant to play. I can't stand the freaking overworld music. I don't like the cutscenes. I think they're poorly animated, and it's kind of a mess. And I was rooting for it, so it's kind of a shame. But yeah,
okay. And then I guess I'll just reiterate. Again, rosy introspection, lots of nostalgia. So it's hard to be objective about this series of games, but I still feel like this game took a lot of risk at the time that you definitely would not see in the modern day, and that's interesting in its own right. And I think there's a lot of good elements with this game that just get muddied because they're trying to do too many things at once, but nonetheless, it's a very interesting title. And it's like if you're trying to look into Naughty Dog's history, in addition to the Crash games, this is a good place, I think, to maybe check out for a bit. You can pick up the collection for pretty cheap on the PS3. And I think that's all I have to say. So I'll hand it over to Marcus so we can choose our game for next month. And hopefully Marcus will finally have a quote unquote good game to play.
That's all I bring to the table, fellas. So our choices this next session is going to be Dredge, Animal Well, Blueprints, and of course the magnum opus, Little Kitty Big City.
Ooh.
Place your votes now.
the Hunter.
And I think all of these are either available on Game Pass or PS Plus, I believe.
Yes, 100% correct.
Okay, I'm gonna type it into the general, or where's the VG club chat? There we go. Sorry about that. Ooh, Animal Well.
So here's the weird part. I am playing Blueprints right now, so this would be an easy layup.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah, I also booted up Blueprints.
yeah.
I've heard
Or
good
I
things
put
about
something
Blueprints. Little Kitty Big City, I've played I played that prior. That was also very, very good. So I feel like I don't know what Dredge is though.
Chip, you go, you get fish, sell the fish. Sometimes those fish are a little fucked up. They're maybe some old gods are doing something to these fish. What's going on here?
Dredge is a 2023 fishing horror role-playing adventure game.
Amazing. It's an amazing line right there. Fishing horror role-playing adventure game.
Dredge looks like it's perfect for the Steam Deck. That's some Steam Deck bait.
So how does it differ from Dave the Diver? Well, for one, it's actually developed by an indie studio. No.
Well, it doesn't look like you go underwater. It looks like you're a boat. So that's different.
Yeah, so think Skull and Bones, but not bad.
I feel like Dredge and Dave the Diver came out around the same time, and they might have a crossover. There might be an official crossover, if I remember correctly. Maybe I'm wrong, but this was a nominee for the Steam Awards. Labor of Love. Nice.
Did have a crossover between Dredge and Dave the Diver.
There you go.
Dave the Diver, also famous for partnering with Godzilla.
In what way?
There was like a DLC pack with Dave the Diver and Godzilla.
Yeah.
Oh, what did Godzilla do for their crossover? Is he one of the people like he eats?
He just eats everything.
Let's see, Dave the Diver X Godzilla DLC.
Okay, yeah, you have to put that DLC or you'll get something else.
I don't want to see that.
Well, I hope you put DLC then.
All right.
I think we've got a winner though.
Yeah, Blueprints.
Blueprints. Now this one I think is possibly a little bit longer than our normal fare. but you can mainline it. I think I saw it in as little as 15 hours.
This is
That's
a
not that
kind of
long, is it?
puzzle. This is a puzzle / adventure game, correct?
Oh,
It-
I couldn't tell you. I had no
would-
idea.
I would
Oh, you
call
couldn't
it.
even
It's just a puzzle game. I mean, you're not adventuring.
There's a narrative, right? It's like a narrative puzzle game. I heard it compared to Myst or
Yeah,
Riven.
it's a game that it encourages you to play it with a notebook next to you. You want to take notes. They're basically like you have like a grid of 46 potential rooms, and each time you go to a door to open the next room, it RNG like gives you 3 different possibilities, and you pick which room of the 3 you want to generate. And over time, you start to understand what each room is, and you are more strategic. It's also a roguelite, so each day is a run. So like you can like create a room that has no doors, and then you're stuck, and you have to just call it a day and start fresh tomorrow, right?
I feel like you're making Marcus want to take it off the.
It's really cool though. Like I've only spent one evening playing it with my wife, and we got super into it already. And yeah, I'm excited to get back. And everybody, I guess it's kind of a 50-50 split between people loving it and hating it. But the people that love it, I think really, really love it.
I've heard it's dumb person friendly too. Whereas like, it's not as like with The Witness, some of those puzzles were really out there. It seems like the ones in Blueprints are a bit closer to home.
So far, I can only speak to my first night with it, but I mean, I know there's every room has a lot of things you didn't perceive that you'll eventually have a eureka moment like hours and hours later. So
Marcus, it's not too late. If you need help, I can vote for Little Kitty Big City. I want you to enjoy this next game.
No, everybody loves Blueprints, and I will love it too. And if I have to convince myself of that.
All right.
Okay, Blueprints.
Let's go.
Cool.
Right,
and let me see how long to beat, how long it is. It's a roguelite, so it's probably very variable, but
I think you can technically I think you can technically beat it, as in you find the 46th room, but the game isn't over, so it's kind of like much longer if you want to keep going.
Yeah, main story is about 13 hours long, and if you really want 100% it, it'll be 36 hours.
Yeah, I would say we're probably let's call it like 20.
Sure.
Okay.
We're probably in the middle.
All right. Sounds good.
Time.
I think this is going to be a fun one to discuss, because I think we're all going to discover or not discover different things. So it's going to be fun to compare notes and tell our
about
stories.
the game and ourselves.
Exactly.
Nice.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you so much, all of you, for joining me. And Grace, wherever you are out there in the great beyond, thank you for everything. And the world's a darker place without you. And yeah, thank you all so much for listening. And I hope whoever's listening to this has a wonderful day. And yeah, we're out. Say goodbye, Marcus.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Marcus.
Goodbye, Marcus.
Goodbye, Marcus.